CNN's Jake Tapper just went full fact check mode on Donald Trump. After Trump spent an entire night on Truth Social, absolutely lying through his teeth about the war in Iran. Stick with me because we are going to walk through all of it. And if you enjoy content like this, drop a like and hit subscribe. It genuinely helps. Now, here's the thing that makes this even more wilder. It's not just CNN holding Trump accountable right now. Even Fox News, of all places, couldn't ignore how bad things are getting. Just this morning, a Fox anchor sat down with Trump's director of the National Economic Council and hit him with the cold, hard reality that the US just wrapped up its worst quarter for stock in years. Watch how he handled that. CNN.
So what would you say the impact is on the U.S. economy so far? I mean, we know, Kevin, that we just came off of the worst quarter for stocks in several years. We know that oil prices have risen 50%. What would be your expectation for the impact on economic growth in the coming quarters?
Well, I mean, absent this event, then when you and I talked about this last time, I said that because AI is creating so much productivity, because President Trump's policies, the dereg and the taxes are causing an investment boom that considers or continues right to this day. You know, we just got advanced durables numbers that said that orders for capital goods and shipments of capital goods are at an all-time high. All of that is happening because of optimism that President Trump not only will resolve this in the short term, but in the long term, his policies are going to create a golden age. And so I began the year with a guess that we'd probably be in the 4 to 5 range for economic growth because of all this. And I'll stick by those numbers. I think this is a temporary a distraction that will very, very quickly go away. You saw that when you saw the market celebrate yesterday when they thought that this would be over. I think our excellent negotiating team will finish the job, and then we'll be back on track to one of the best years ever.
Wow. So you still look for 4 to 5% growth for this year?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Because
I mean, wow. Where do you even start with that guy? 4 to 5% growth. A golden age. Have you looked at a single economic report since January? Things have been getting progressively worse under this administration. And this man is still out here cheerleading like everything is sunshine and rainbows. Now you would think the pushback on Trump would only be coming from Democrats, right? That is what makes what happened next so absolutely jaw-dropping. Because the one Republican who actually showed some backbone this morning was, and I want you to brace yourself for this, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, that Marjorie Taylor. She was on CNN this morning, and she tore into Trump's handling of both the economy and the war without flinching, who actually
that part. Seat in Congress has been taken over by a wonderful and talented man, Clay Fuller, who won convincingly. And despite the stench left by Greene, congratulations to Clay Fuller, a very large improvement over his deranged predecessor, end quote. How do you respond to that?
I don't have to respond to that. You don't respond to bullies, and you don't pay attention to people when they're failing. And President Trump is failing right now. And so he's a man that's lashing out. I mean, after all, this is the man that threatened to wipe out an entire civilization of people. You can't respond to someone like that. They're mentally unstable.
She called him mentally unstable on CNN, on live television. And honestly, she's not wrong. What is remarkable here is that she's literally the only Republican who has been willing to say out loud what so many people are clearly thinking behind closed doors. And she didn't stop there, because she also went after Speaker Mike Johnson. And this part really got me. She called him out specifically as someone who claims to be a Christian, while standing by some of the most disturbing rhetoric we have heard from a sitting president in modern history. Take a look.
And I really have to call out the speaker, Mike Johnson, who calls himself a Christian. I don't know how he can stand by those words. That's what was so offensive to me. Any Christian serving in Congress or serving in the Senate and serving in the administration really needs to take pause and ask themselves, as a Christian, do you really support the president calling for the annihilation, calling to wipe out an entire civilization of people? And I don't think you should, because that's not what Jesus said, and that's not what Christianity is all about.
And she's 100% right. Look, you can disagree with Marjorie Taylor Greene on just about everything, and most of us do. But she's hitting the nail directly on the head here. The hypocrisy from these Republican lawmakers who wraps up themselves in faith and family values and then turn around and defend the indefensible is something that voters absolutely need to remember at every single level. But okay, let's get to the main event because this is the part you really came here for. Trump went on one of his late night Truth Social meltdowns, and this time he went after CNN directly, spreading outright lies about their Iran war coverage. And Jake Tapper, he was not about to just let that slide quietly.
Statement put out by CNN World News is a fraud, as CNN well knows. The false statement was linked to a fake news site from Nigeria. Authorities are looking to determine whether or not a crime was committed on the issuance of the fake CNN World statement, or was it a sick rogue player? CNN is being ordered to immediately withdraw the statement with full apologies for their, as usual, terrible reporting, unquote. Before I go on, let me just say, none of that is true. None of that is accurate. Then, Federal Communications Commission Chairman Brendan Carr tweeted, quote, Iran put out an official statement that simply cannot be squared with the one CNN's false headline attributes to them. Time for change at CNN, unquote. Hold that thought on Brendan Carr's statement. By 11:39 p.m., President Trump still not over it, claiming that CNN invented the statement. Not true. And wrote, quote, it was totally made up and posted as a headline for purpose of perhaps inflaming a very delicate situation. CNN just got caught cheating, a very dangerous thing to do, unquote. Again, none of that's true. None of that's factual. None of that's accurate. Here's what actually happened. Iranian officials made that first statement. It was reported on multiple Iranian state media outlets and by other news outlets all over the world. CNN also received the statement from specific official Iranian spokespeople who are known to us. Chairman Carr's attack on CNN that, quote, Iran put out an official statement that simply cannot be squared with the one CNN's false headline attributes to them, unquote, is quite revealing. But it doesn't reveal anything about CNN. If you've been paying close attention, you know that the Iranian government frequently speaks out of both sides of its mouth. Some faction of the regime will put out a statement that is hardline, propaganda for its base, for want of a better term. A different faction of the regime releases a more measured statement. This is not a bug, it's a feature. It's clearly what happened here. In fact, today, both the Secretary of Defense and Caroline Leavitt alluded to such thing.
What we know is that Iran is going to say a lot of things. A lot of people are going to say a lot of things, claim a lot of things. What has been agreed to, what's been stated, is the strait is open.
What Iran says publicly or feeds to all of you in the press is much different than what they communicate to the United States, the president, and his team privately.
No argument with either of them. The issue boils down to this. The statement from Iran's Supreme National Security Council, which claimed victory for Iran, did not fit the messaging that the Trump administration wanted to project. And instead of calling out the Iranian regime for its conflicting statements or explaining how Iran does this all the time, President Trump attacked CNN by falsely claiming we made it up, by lying to you. We didn't make it up, nor did we present any of Iran's narratives as fact. We simply presented what the statement said in the context of the rest of the war. And that is our job as journalists, to report on what is happening in a war. Our job is not to try and please the president or only report the statements he likes. We're going to tell you what's going on, and we're going to keep doing that no matter how many lies this administration or the Iranians tell.
Honestly, when is the last time you saw a takedown that clean on a live television? Jake Tapper looked directly into that camera and called the President of the United States a liar. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. And he backed every single word of it up with facts. The fact that we are sitting here treating one honest fact check like a major event tells you everything about how low the bar has gotten for holding power accountable. So yes, this was great, and I mean that. But let's make sure that the pressure doesn't stop here. If you want to keep seeing content that actually calls out the lies and doesn't let any of this slide, leave a like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to see it.